Hello, Lady G. It's so nice to see you. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy performance schedule to let me interview you.
Hi, Mr. Letterman. Really, the pleasure is all mine. I just want to take a second and say hello to all of my fans, my little monsters. I love you.
That's nice, G. I'm sure your fans really appreciate that. Now, what I'd like to talk to you about today is a somewhat serious matter. I want to talk to you about the issue of plagiarism.
That is a serious issue. People are often accusing me of stealing certain parts of my identity from others.
And what do you say in response to that?
Well, in regards to my clothes, my style and even my name, I always make sure to tell people whose ideas inspired me. I think plagiarism is a very serious issue, and to avoid committing it, I make sure I always give credit to others when credit is due.
Yes, I suppose you do. I know you have said where your name Lady G has come from. I believe you said it was inspired by a Queen song called Radio G. Is that right?
Yes, that's precisely correct.
Why do you think it's important that you mention where you get your ideas from?
Well, in my case I could be sued for millions of dollars for trying to plagiarize or steal someone else's ideas without giving them credit. When it comes to entertainment, sometimes I have to ask if I am allowed to even use the idea first.
I see. Well, that makes perfect sense, since I am sure you don't want to have to pay all that money to everyone that you borrow ideas from if they sue you.
Yeah, definitely not. I also want to send a positive message to all of my fans too that experience issues with plagiarism in different ways.
That's interesting. What exactly do you mean, G?
Well, I know a lot of my fans are kids in school, and when you're in school, plagiarism is a huge issue. Plagiarizing someone else's work in school can also have big consequences, like it could for me. For example, stealing someone else's English paper and pretending it's your own is one type of plagiarism, which is cheating.
So there are different types of plagiarism?
Yes, there are two others. When writing papers, students are required to cite sources when using the ideas or quoting directly from someone else's work. Failing to do this is called non-attribution.
And the last type?
The last type is called patchwriting. This is when you don't copy or quote exactly from someone else's work, but you are still borrowing the ideas in their work. All ideas need to be cited.
I see. Now, how often do you find yourself having to cite things in your line of work?
Well, Mr. Letterman, most performers probably have to cite their inspirations very often. But I use original ideas because I am so naturally creative and amazing in that way that I don't need to give credit to others all that much.
I see.
But sometimes, it's inevitable, and if I'm trying to make a really good point and I reference someone else's idea that everyone knows and likes, it helps to make my point a lot stronger.
So in those instances, citing things is a really good thing.
Oh yes. It's always really good and really necessary.
How should students go about citing?
Students should always ask their teachers if they haven't already told them what style to cite others' work in. Information and ideas from others should be cited within the student's work, and it should always include a list of references when appropriate. When in doubt, cite. For everything. It's much easier to include where you gathered certain ideas from than it is to deal with the consequences. There are books and websites that show you exactly how to cite information too. All you have to do is figure out what type of material you are citing, and it's explained very clearly how to properly cite it.
You said there are consequences for your fans, the kids in school, when they fail to cite information. What kinds of consequences are there for students that do not cite?
It's not pretty, Mr. Letterman. Students that are caught plagiarizing the first time might just receive a warning. But after that, they could fail the class they were caught doing it in.
Is that the most severe consequence?
Nope. The most severe is actually getting kicked out of school. Believe it or not, that could actually happen. And that's why I want to send this message to all my little monsters. Plagiarism has consequences, so don't do it. You're really cheating yourself too, because you're not learning anything if you just steal ideas from others and regurgitate them as your work.
That's a really good point,
Thank you, Mr. Letterman.
No, really thank you again, for letting me interview you on such an important matter. I don't usually do interviews like this, The subject matter of my interviews is usually less serious.
I know, but all the students out there need to know this and now they do, so there are no excuses.